there, look what we just found. It's Hosana. Hello, Mr. Moo. What are you doing here? I was looking for Tundi. I left the area and we just went back, and there was a bit of the carcass left in the tree this morning. I know, but we just went back there and I was like, a leopard's been up this tree. I could see some fresh scuff marks. Well, Hosana rubbing himself against the front of the car as he goes past. But I said, something's been up this tree recently. I just said to Dave, I said, there's no carcass there. And I think it was this little scallywag. We're no more than about 50 or 60 meters away from where that carcass was. He's looking like he's been sitting on a bit of food for the last little while. Well, apart from what he managed to... You look at me what just happened right behind us. Hosana was drinking. Just come to the pan here, Dave. And he just crossed the road, and then this little tree right here, right next to where he was, a squirrel literally just launched Superman style straight out this way and ran as fast as it could to a big enough tree that's there that Hosana can't get to it at. Oh, squirrels. They are funny. But well, that's a nice way to start the afternoon. So I went to check there to see if the lionesses possibly might have gone and tried to raid that carcass. Oh, why do you sit there just behind a stick? Paul, I cannot tell you whether Hosana is near Hukumuri. Don't need to move, Darby. That's okay. Because we don't know where Hukumuri is. The last we heard, he was on Sibambili on an impala kill, but that was a day or so ago, and I haven't heard any fresh information since. Hello, Scallywag. Squirrel, I think you got off lucky. If he had known you in that little tree, life might not have ended so well for you today. Hosana, the scourge of squirrels across the northern Sabi sands. He's now having a little nap. Oh, here we go. First leopard of the day. It is quite warm for this time of the year. Oh, squirrel, you are going off much better. And you can see he's just moved into a little bit of shade, even though there's quite a bit of cloud cover at the moment. And the little prince, or chief, been wondering where he's been hiding for the last couple of days. Okay, well, we're going to play the patience game here with Hosana. And while we do that, let's send you across to David, who's got something to nibble on. Well, I tend to think you make your own luck, Steve. That's how I view it. Now, you can see him, he's still sitting in the same spot, having a bit of a groom. He's got a bit of a full belly, and I know David is very excited about spending time with our gorgeous leopards here in the Sabi Sands. So David is on his way here, so we're going to hand over to David in a little bit, and I think we'll continue on for Tundi, but we'll wait for them to get here. And And it's always going to be interesting to see a new guide's perspective on the big cats. Yeah, especially with all David's experience from Kenya. Now, of course, here's little Hosana. Thomas, the male lions quite often get names as well. The Birmingham boys have also got names. Nena, Tino, Mfumo. Am I going nuts? Have I forgotten one? Usuku. There we go. So, yes, certain individual male lions, and even sometimes in certain circumstances, certain female lions will also get names, but leopard male and female will all get names. Cheetahs as well. Quite often cheetahs are, if it's males in a coalition, the coalition will get a name, and that also goes the same with male lion coalitions. Amy, how do I tell a Hosana apart from the other leopards? Amy, I've been watching him since he was a sausage, literally not even 10 centimeters or 10 or 15 centimeters long. I've spent many, many hours with him. He's quite recognizable if you look at his face. I don't even know his spot pattern. I just look at Hosana and I know it's Hosana after spending so much time with him. All different leopards will have a slightly different facial structure. I mean, if you look at Tandi's got quite a squat face. Kamuri as well, in comparison to Tingana. So you can definitely see that they are different individuals, but generally the best way to tell them is from the spot pattern. If you don't know the leopards very well and you need to sort of figure it out, their spot pattern is the top line of spots above the last line of whiskers. Unfortunately, he's keeping his out of sight at the moment. And I will find you. Now, as I said, I've been following Hosana since he was tiny. I found Hosana for the first time when he was about 6 hours old, born in a den, probably as the crow flies, about 800 meters away from here. And him and his little sister, Shongile. Let me just see if I've got a nice front or side shot that I can show. There we go. The spot pattern. This is how's that, Dave? That is quarantine, and I'm talking about this line of spots over here. So you see that a strong line all together, and some whisker still in it. That's the line of spots above the whisker. This was quarantine when he was a little boy, though. Probably about the same age as Hosana, actually. Little quarantine. He's not so little anymore. It's always great to see Hosana. And the squirrels are incessantly chattering at him at the moment. Hey, little man. Now, speaking of other young leopards, Jared's buddy Tumba was seen in Ottawa, which is to the west of Elephant Plains, part of the Singita Traverse. Okay, where are you off to now? I'm going to find another spot to snooze. As I said, we're just waiting for David to catch up with us. And I think I see them now coming around the corner. Has he flopped down in that long grass? He has to. So I just wanted to show it. There we go. Perfectly spotted there. It's got nice cool grass to lie in. David. So I'm just calling David. I saw him coming in behind us. David, if you just come in behind me, I'll move out for you. There we go. I wonder if this is David's first time seeing Hosana or not. Okay, I'm just going to help David get in here. In the meantime, let's go to Steve, who's looking for those lions.
All right, coming from Steve now, I have to own up and say something. This is the closest I have come to a leopard in my life. I have to be very, very honest with you folks. And I can't believe it. I'm so excited, as much as I'm still very, very nervous, you know, to be live. But how epic is this? I'm talking about 10, 15 feet from a beautiful male leopard. Just been told his name is Hosana. I'm not sure who gave it that name, but I can't believe how close I am. In Kenya, sometimes we see leopards about 300, 400 meters away. We have to use our far lookers, adjust, and sometimes you're not sure what you're seeing, whether they're real leopards or spotted trunks or branches. But here, James have told me for real, this is Hosana Male Leopard, and I may have to apologize for not having introduced my team player, Sebastian, right there, and someone also very special next to him called James Henry. Who does not like that face? Great gentleman he is, Seb, and look at the magic on that leopard laying down there. Florence, you'd like to know the difference between a leopard and a cheetah. I mean, in general, in size, if you see two fully grown ones, leopards are bigger in size than cheetahs. That's number one. Number two, if you look on the spot pattern for leopards, leopards got what we call rosettes. Cheetahs got like spots or dots on their bodies. On one of these lucky days, if you're going to spot a cheetah, and I'm sure you'll still be watching our game drives, and if you look on the face of the cheetah, it has what we call black lines right from the eyes to the mouth that look like tear marks. Cheetahs will have that, and leopards will not have that. In general, if you look at superiority, the leopards are much stronger, more in charge than the cheetahs. On one-to-one, should they face each other, a leopard, chances are, will bring down a cheetah. Looking on their behavior, you'll get leopards being both diurnal and nocturnal. They'll be active both day and night. And cheetahs, in general, will be active during the day. That's when they'll go or hunt for their prey. You'll also sometimes see them at night moving, but they'll not be doing the hunting. But leopards will do that both day and night. So a few differences between leopards and cheetahs. Beautiful cat. James, if I remember any one special sighting I had in the mouth of a leopard, was one leopard that should be about early this year, where we had a leopard with a cheetah kill on top of a tree. That doesn't happen, and as I was just saying a few minutes ago, you rarely see leopards, because of what's called predator competition. Sometimes you get lions killing leopards, leopards killing cheetahs. So, and we spot a leopard from a distance, and we thought she had a kill. And getting closer, the killers had spots. And at one point, we were like, wow, we hope this mother leopard did not kill one's own cubs. But looking closely, we found out it was a young cheetah. Not very good, a bit sad. But again, it's the rule of the jungle. The strongest, the fittest, the smartest. That's how it happens here. So that particular sighting, James, was very special for me because I love cheetahs, but at the same time was thinking the leopards have to feed, and they do not choose who to feed on, and that's how the dynamics play out here. I hope that helps to answer your question, James. We'll wait a few minutes here and see what Hosana does. But in the meantime, let's find out what Brent Smith is telling us.
I'm going to see if David and I can...
Yes, hopefully Talamba and Tandy will be found. I also just gathered an important fact from James that Hosana is Tandy's brother, correct? Very good. And their mother was called Karula. And I hear either yesterday or the day before Tandy had made a kill that Hosana came to finish up today. It's interesting, isn't it? I'm not sure is a sister taking care of a brother or a brother taking care of a sister, but I would say more is a sister taking care of a brother. Just looking up there, the clouds are building up. Nothing to worry. The other day, or yesterday morning, there were no signs of any rainfall, and out of the blues, we had to quickly head back to the camp and get the roof on, and, we survived. But again, that's what happens with the weather here, sometimes in the wilderness, so we always go prepared, but when you're caught off guard, then, pop, there you are. Very, very sleepy cat. Oops, did you hear me? Look this way. Hosana, you got a new face from 2,800 kilometers from here. Will you believe that, Hosana? Oh, he spotted something. Just a moment. Oh, there's a female impala just moving about. Two females, 50 meters or less from where we are. I would say 30 meters from where we are. Two female impalas, unknowingly, not knowing who is right here. You can see them in the background. Two girls walking, and there goes Danny. Look at him. Look at his body language now. I'm not sure what he's thinking, but very carefully. They can't see him as yet. And I think that one is looking at us. And Hosana just shows up looking at them. He is deciding, do I go or not? Alright, Hosana, what are you thinking? Her belly looks pretty full to me. But again, you never know. Sometimes when the prey just comes out of the blues, they might want to bring it down for any day. She's still looking at the two girls, or two impalas walking away. She hasn't engaged the hunting mode yet, but I'm sure she's contemplating. And maybe finding out if they will stop, and he is going to make a decision. I could be wrong, but from the look of things, I don't think he's very interested. Difficult to judge what is going through his mind. But when you see some nice food just next to your home, chances are you would want to have it. Well, Hosana, you don't look very hungry. You look to be in very good shape. The impalas in Kenya and the impalas in Djuma, I would say, Debbie, they are more or less the same. Not much different. But I commented the other day to James, I think the ones in Kenya have a bigger rack of horns, the males, than the ones here. And I think he concurred with me, and he agreed. And because we have very good habitat for the impalas in Kenya, they tend to do better. They thrive very well, and we got so many of them. I'm yet to spend my second week going forward here, but I think they tend to do better in the Masai Mara, in the open savanna grassland than here. But I would say they're basically the same gestation period, weight is the same behavior, but we agreed with James. The males could be slightly bit larger and more so the rack of horns. And as I said earlier, the other difference is they do not have a particular brooding season in Kenya, unlike here in Djuma, where the rotting is going on now and expecting the babies sometimes in November. Kenya could be all around the year, but more so during the peak. The peak is more during the rainy season. So Hosana has changed position and like, wow. And thinking, well, I will go for those impalas maybe another time. And the leopards in the Mara and the leopards here are the same species. Everything is the same. Behavior, weight, gestation period, size, name it. The only one difference I would say, Romet, is the difference. We see or have seen more leopards here. In under 1 week of being here, I have seen 3 leopards. And James is laughing, I'm not sure why, but he knows the time we were with him there for over a month, we did not see even a footprint of a leopard. In the Mara, it could take you 2 weeks to see one. Romet, can you see me? One leopard. Here, in 3-4 days, or 5 days max, I have seen 3 leopards, and very close. Yeah, apart from that, they are basically same leopards. And back to Hosana there. Not sleepy like when you got here. And if any other impalas might swing by, we'll still stay here. I mean, personally, I told James I'm not leaving here unless I have to, enjoying this up close and candid Hosana. But in the meantime, let's find out what Steve is doing on foot. All right, Brent, good luck with Tandy. And as I said earlier, unless otherwise, I am not leaving this beautiful boy, Hosana. He changed position and actually he even came closer to where we are by another 2 feet. Isn't that wonderful? James tells me to relax, nothing gonna happen. And this is the closest, again, as I said earlier, I've come to leopards. There's even become closer. It's shortening the distance. I'm not sure it wants to know me on 1-to-1. Hopefully, I'll be happy to know that. But as you are busy with Brent, or listening to Brent, James also taught me how to tell leopards apart. Yesterday, I said that Alamba, the baby for Tunde, has been positively identified to have 5 spots on each side, and 5-5. So Hosana, James has told me, is 3-3, and I've been able now to know where they look and how they identify those spots. That is exciting for me. It could be very, very difficult to do that in Kenya because of the challenge of the wilderness there, and also not being to get that close to leopards because we're very strict there. There's no off-road driving. That's one downside of not getting close to the leopards, or having, not being able to identify them very well. You can see the belly now, as Seb, if you go to the belly, you can see what I was talking about, where we had those two female impalas just passed. See how it's bulging, and look at the breathing of Hosana there. Heavy digestion, so full, that belly. Looks good for the next 2 days, I guess. And you can clearly see the undercoat is white. Sorry, is that question again, Luke? Ryunjap, if we got your question correct, is whether Hosana is on a kill now. But as I might have mentioned earlier, the kill was done by Tandy, most likely yesterday or the day before. And what remained, Hosana came for it this morning and ravaged and finished it all. So at the moment, there's nothing left from what Tandy killed the other day. Hopefully that helps to answer your question. But I'm sure, tomorrow, the day after, should also Hosana get hungry, he very well knows how to get his own food. I'm not sure I'd want to be a leopard. Mercy, let me see what animals we have in the Mara that we don't have in Djuma. Let me start by saying what animals we have in Djuma that we don't have in the Mara. And I would say number one, the Nyala. We do not have Nyalas in Masimara. James, you can remind me what else. But now let me go to Mara and see what we have in the Mara that we do not have here. All right, in the Mara, we have some gazelles that are not here in Djuma where we are right now. And I'm talking about the Grand Gazelle. And I'm sure you know how beautiful Grand Gazelle looks like. And we also have another smaller type of gazelle that's called the Thompson Gazelle or the Tommy. They could be found in other areas of South Africa, of Kruger, but I don't think they are here in Djuma, but we have them in the Mara. So the Grand Gazelle and the Thompson Gazelles, I can say for a fact, those ones we have in the Mara, and they are not here in Djuma at this particular year. We also got the hartebeest. You ask whether you got springboks in the Masimara. Sorry, no, we do not have springboks there that we also get here in the Kruger National Park. I also reminded, or James just reminded me, we also got the hartebeest in the Masimara, what sometimes you call the Kongoni, and they are also not where we are. That's, again, answering your question, Matthew. We also got the hartebeest. It's very similar to Topi, but much lighter in color and different horns formation. We also got the hartebeest in the Masimara, and we don't have them in Djuma. Very, very sleepy cat here. Honeycomb, that's a long order for me, and I may have, you'd like to know how long is leopard claw? Tail, rather. Oh, sorry, tail, sorry, my apologies, what was the claw? I would think it depends, of course, on the age or the size of a leopard, but it could be anything 1.5 feet to 2.5 feet. It will depend on the size of the leopard. Sorry, I thought it was the claw. That would have been a tough one for me. But yes, the tail, yes. And you can see it flicking still there. Maybe it had your question and it's trying to tell you, can you estimate on your screen how long my tail is? I would think it's a very clever leopard here, Hosana. Look at that. Seb, what do you think? How long is the leopard tail, Seb? Give or take, in meters or in feet? A meter? All right. Seb thinks the same, not very bad. 2.5 to 3 feet. And Stivovo continues bumbling around and making steps. Let's find out whether he has any news for us. Right, Brent, keep working hard and good luck for Tandy again. And if not, you can get some elephants, which are pretty interesting to see in this kind of weather. And Hosana is still there, napping. He had been rolling and turning over and just enjoying his sleep. And hopefully, Mercy, if you're still on board, I hope you're still on board. I have an apology to make. And James corrected me and told me, yes, we got springboks in South Africa, but we do not have them where we are. Neither do we have them in the Greater Kruger National Park. My apologies there, Mercy, but now I know better. Hopefully you know that springbok is the national animal of South Africa. My apologies there again, Mercy. On an extension, just to let you know, we also have a different type of antelope in Kenya called the topi that is not found here, but its related cousin or subspecies would be the CCB. We've got the CCB here, which is very, very similar to the topi in Kenya. Must have been very, very full, Hosana, from that remnants they took from Tandy. Djuma, good question there. And you'd like to know whether there are any famous leopards in the Mara. Unfortunately not, because the ball game there is very different from here. And what would happen is we never get that close to leopards in the Mara as we do here. Initially, as I was turning the car around to get this close to this leopard, I was a bit scared, and James just told me again to relax. What could be famous in the Mara now? Cheetahs and cats like leopards, and there's one particular one called Malaika, which has featured in so many documentaries, BBC, Big Kadari, Nat Geo. So unfortunately we don't have any big famous leopards in the Mara apart from the cheetah. Maybe in the near future that might change, and the rules will be a bit flexible, and they'll allow us to follow, or Safari Live to get so close to some of the leopards if that changes, and we'll have special characters for you, like how we have the characters in the Djuma, Hosana, Shidulu, Tandy. We'll see how things go. I hope that helps answer your question, Djuma, there. Emma, you'd like to know what is my favorite animal. And my favorite animal is the elephant. Elephants, I'm sure you all know what they mean to most people. And if you're rather low, tired, they'll wake you up and they'll cheer you up on how they behave, being so intelligent. And rarely you'll see an elephant spending more than 2 minutes doing nothing. So Emma, my favorite big animal is the largest land mammal, the ellie or the elephant. Hopefully this leopard will do something here. As you can see, the cloud is still building. I don't know what, Seb, you think if you look in the sky there. Do you think there's any cause for alarm? Or this should be fine? Does this happen
it's running in Hoogstraat, so it's not very far.
I hope you got that from Seb. We got some, it's spitting a little bit in a town not very far from where we are. But I think we're fine. So long as we got Hosana here, all looks good to me. And I can tell you, I'm still feeling lots of excitement with this beautiful cat, this close, and not worried in any shape or manner by us being here. Again, I don't want to keep telling you this, but we are not living here. And Steve is still making steps.
Hello, Lazy. Are you going to just lie about all afternoon, or are you going to do something for us today? Doesn't he look comfy? Breathing quite heavily there. He's not obesely full, but he's definitely a happy full, I would call it, and he's a comfortable full. Now you could just roll over so we could see your face, but no. They are absolutely exquisite creatures there. And now, of course, as much as we love our little chief, Omak, he is definitely a threat to Tlalamba. Most of the leopard cub mortalities in the Sabi Sands that we know were perpetrated by leopard were made by leopard between sort of 2 and 5 years old. So he is definitely a threat to Tlalamba. Isn't that wonderful? It's very special that we are able to just sit with these creatures at this distance. It is amazing. Now, I've been lucky enough to work all over Africa, and I've worked in areas where we don't have leopards that have been habituated for years, and we've actually had to habituate them ourselves. And it is a very challenging but very rewarding process. And we're busy doing it, well, when I get the chance and stuff, and my dad's doing it on the reserve where he lives, because those leopards were not habituated. All the flies getting to him a bit there. Flickety, yeah. And now, one of the most interesting ways to do it is to get one of those old sort of, I've forgotten what radios they are, but they normally play the old English radio channels, and what you do is, if you find a female who's got cubs, and you find where her den is, or if you know there's a kill in a tree, you go park 100 meters away and you leave the car there, but you leave the radio on, so they get used to the sound of people talking for the whole night, and just carries on. And as you work that process, you start at 100 meters, and then slowly you do 10 to 15 meters closer every time you spend more time with that animal. It's much easier to relax leopard cubs than it is to relax leopard adults. So you generally try to get the cubs to relax mom. Although young males, if you catch them in the right sort of age, when they're just sort of leaving home, they can also be relatively easy to habituate. Now, the leopard population of South Africa, I'm just trying to rack my brain now. I think it's around 2,500. Might be a bit more than that. I'm going to have to double check for you, Minamu, what is the leopard population of South Africa. If I remember correctly, I remember somewhere in my head I have the figure of 2,500, but I could be wrong. I will double check for you though. Maybe, I think it's that. Was that Southern Africa? Oh, lazy kitty. But of course, spending time with Hosana is always special because he is a busybody, and he might get up and go on a mission. Now, when they talk about populations, it's difficult because they it's because they're only doing the sort of 60. Well, they're only the adults. So in terms of what numbers they'll be counting the males and females of breeding age. So all cubs and sub-adults would be sort of off limits. They wouldn't really, or not off limits, they just wouldn't count them because of the high mortality rates a lot of these big cats have. But there's a lot of varying different data out there. I remember, but it is quite difficult. I say safely we're somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 leopard in South Africa. Might be a bit higher, but I don't think it's definitely not lower than 2,000 leopard. So it's amazing. You read all this stuff and then the figures get lost somewhere there up in the grey matter. Now, Brent Lyle Smith, number 2, would like to know, are there leopards in West Africa? Well, I'm very honoured that you have named your handle somewhat after me. Yes, there are. But in certain parts of West Africa, the leopard populations are healthy. But in the vast majority of the cases, the leopard populations in West Africa are under threat. So, as I was saying, I just went to see if I could find that information for you quickly on, and yes, as I said, there's a huge, wide variety in terms of, it says that there's anything from 2,800 to 11,000 in South Africa. So, and the greater Kruger area, which is Mpumalanga, this area, is definitely got the largest in the country. It's estimated between 1,000 and 4,500 leopards just in this area. Now, of course, this area probably, Kruger, Limpopo, there are no major big cities really, like Johannesburg or Durban or whatnot, and specifically this eastern section along the Mozambique boundary is made up almost entirely of game farms, and obviously the Greater Kruger itself, and private game reserves and hunting farms and cattle farms. So it's probably the longest stretching single habitat for leopards in South Africa. So it makes sense that there would be the largest. Oh, there we go. We're going to give us, there we go, roll over. Okay, well, I'm going to do a little bit more reading on the statistics. And statistics can be very dangerous unless you make sure you understand them before you start spewing them. So while I do that, let's send you across to Steve and see where he's tramping around next. Yes, he has only managed to roll back the other way. Now, it is getting cooler, so we are hoping he might get up and on the move. He might head towards quarantine. Lots of male impala running around, rutting, making a fool of themselves. They say he's not desperate for a meal. The fly is still getting to him a little bit. See how he's flattened that little patch of grass on this side as he's rolled a couple of times in each direction. Well, here we go. Now Lily, who is only 7 years old, yes, it's possible that a predator could sneak up on him like a lion or a hyena, but even though it looks like he's fast asleep, he's still listening very carefully, and if anything goes kush, kush, kush in the grass, he'll get up and he'll look to make sure it's not dangerous. So he should be okay. No, he didn't roll all the way over this time. Now, a very interesting question about a spotted friend who lives high up in very cold places, the snow leopards, Mark. They are part of the Panthera family, so not sorry, a direct family member to the leopards we get in Africa, but they are part of the extended Panthera family, which includes lions and tigers and jaguars, as well as snow leopards and our leopard that we're looking at right now. Now, the biggest threat facing leopards at the moment is not leopard areas like we are now, because the majority of South Africa or Africa's leopard population occurs outside of protected areas, and in those areas it's where they face the biggest threat from quite a few different fronts. So he heard the starlings, Lily, flying there, and he lifted his head just to make sure when he heard them land on a branch that it wasn't anything to eat or anything dangerous. And so persecution by being bycatch is the wrong word, but not the non-intended target, subsistence snaring. Leopards can get severely injured by snares, uncontrolled trophy hunting, uncontrolled hunting in general, and often that is done as a knee-jerk reaction from stock loss by commercial farmers, whether it be for goats or cows, and in the recent years the game farming industry in South Africa, where people have very expensive antelope, black impala and other abominations. I'll explain why they're an abomination a little bit later. But so leopards, of course, find all these nice, easy things all kept in a pen for them. So there's quite probably, I don't want to say for sure because it's busy being investigated at the moment, but probably quite a lot of persecution that happens by those game farmers, so that are farming high-profile, high-value species of wild game for sale. Being hit by a car on the big highways and main roads is another threat. Poisoning, and again, that's normally a knee-jerk to stock loss. And one of the things that Panthera is focusing on a lot at the moment is getting accurate data on the leopards and obviously the other predators that occur outside of these protected areas. So Hosana is pretty much about as safe as a leopard can be where he is at the moment. And there's almost of him being killed by any outside factor caused by human beings. He's got far more, well, he's only got to worry about lions and hyenas and other leopards. But as I said, that game breeding industry, the reason that black impalas and stuff are are an abomination. So what happened in this industry at the moment is there's been, fortunately, a lot of that has crashed. I was very happy to hear that those prices have crashed. So what happens if they find a leucistic or a menelistic animal, they'll keep breeding them, and basically your genetic pool on a lot of those animals is tiny. So you have these really strange-looking inbred antelope and creatures that would not be occurring in the numbers they are if it wasn't for human intervention, because out in the wild most of the time they would have been eaten quite quickly, or an abnormal thing that happens every 20 years like king cheetah or white lions. But the same thing goes for white lions, and for that matter, in captivity, people have bred those lions so much. Almost every single lion park, horrible places, in South Africa and in Southern Africa, where you've got white lions and that. The genetic diversity of those white lions is absolute trash. They have no good for the overall well-being of a population. Same goes for a lot of the black leopards in captivity. So what's happened is someone has caught one somewhere and they've caught another one, and they've basically kept inbreeding these poor cats till they sometimes look completely squonk. And I mean seriously squonk. I saw an inbred lion on one of these places once when we were doing some undercover stuff that was a full-sized male lion, except he had half-sized legs. He was like a corgi lion. It was the strangest looking thing in the world. But of course, a lot of you will know James did a little chat about that lion attack that happened near Tabazimbi, and I did myself a little bit of research online about it. I mean, that is not a sustainable conservation area. It is 40 hectares. It's a tiny little petting zoo where you've got all these big cats kept in small enclosures, and they'll argue that a hectare is not a small enclosure. Where average lion pride has 10,000 hectares that it needs to roam in. A hectare is a tiny enclosure, and those animals are there purely for human greed, or human self-gratification. There's scientific, no conservation-based argument for those places to exist. Sorry, rant over. Hosana, get up and do something before I get angry about those people. Bananas, the lot of them. It's another interesting question, because this game farming has changed a lot in the last 20 years or so, Sean. Traditionally, when you had a game farm and you had impala and nyala and wildebeest and whatnot, and most people didn't have predators outside leopards that would be naturally occurring, but no big cats outside of the leopards, of course, and the odd brown hyena or spotted hyena. The game farms were controlled, and you would have to cull, you'd have to shoot or hunt a certain amount of species to keep the population for the size of the farm in order. But it's the live game trade, which is now what is considered game farming, where you're getting ridiculous amounts of money for aberrations. There's black impala and white impala and black springbok and golden wildebeest and disease-free buffalo. I mean, where the prices skyrocketed so much that everyone thought this was a good thing to get into. The control on it at the moment is probably a little bit lax, because it's an industry that's sort of spurted out of nowhere and very quickly. And I know there are regulations, and nature conservation, all the different provinces is trying to regulate it to a degree, but it's also very difficult because it's big business, and it also employs a lot of people. So you've got to look at it from both sides. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with game farming as long as it's done correctly, and you don't persecute the animals like leopards. Because now all of a sudden you've got a trophy Nyala bull that is worth $20,000, and you keep it in a little pen. If you're going to keep it in a little pen, you must make the pen leopard proof, in my opinion, or get some Anatolian sheepdogs. And there's been great success in predator prevention with different species of dogs to protect the livestock, and the same could be done for the game farming industry. Now, it's a very complicated topic, like most of these things, and there's no one simple answer. But it's always good to think about it and talk about some of the more difficult things sometimes. Okay, let's send you across to Steve. Hopefully he's hot on the trails of the beloved Tandy. Well, as you can see, not much has happened with Hosana. He's still in the exact same spot. Come on, boy, it's time to get moving. It's time to be exciting. I know it's been a long day of thieving, and staring at Impala. And I think while we haven't seen him for the last few days, he's been on a kill somewhere. And there definitely wasn't enough of that carcass left to make him as fat as he is. There we go. At least he's rolled over to face us this time. Now, the number one natural predator of leopards, Julie, is leopards. So most leopard mortalities are perpetrated by other leopards. Around 70% of known leopard mortalities are done by other leopards. And that's normally when they're under a year old, and then young males between 2 and 4. It's by other adult males. It's mostly all by... Do you hear that, David? That sounded like a tree just falling down by itself. Just reverse back a little bit. It didn't sound like an elephant. It just sounded like a dead tree, like a massive branch. The termites have finally got through it. We'll just check in case there are some eddies over there. But to me, it sounded like a rotten branch just decided to give up the ghost. Just... Because I think if there had been eddies around, we would have heard them for a while, and you would have heard them moving and breaking branches and feeding. That was just a sharp crack and thump. Robert, I don't think leopard have the capacity to hate any trees the most. I would say, especially when there's lions around, they love the closest tree. It doesn't matter how skinny or thorny or small it is, they'll go straight up it to avoid being eaten. I don't think they hate any trees. Most movement we've seen in a while, with a few tail flicks there. As I just said, if there's a lion close by, they'll go up the thorniest tree they can see. They don't hate. It's an animal. I don't. Apart from maybe hyenas, they probably hate hyenas and hate lions. And then again, I think it's an instinctive response. It's not hate in the human definition of the word hate or understanding. It's that thing will kill me. I need to survive. Hate rather than I really don't like that particular hyena. It's very smelly and rude. Oh. What happened there, boy? Is something getting on your nerves? The fly's getting to you. Now, Hosana, as beautiful and as deadly as he is, Djuma, the elephants would not hesitate to move through here and chase him out of the way. They are much, much bigger. The true kings of the African bush. Hosana would just try and get out of their way. Wouldn't you, you little rascal? Are we going to do something now? Or are we going to go flop down somewhere else where you think there's less flies? Don't go flop down in the longer grass. Don't you do it. Don't you. No. It's time to get up and go moving. It's not time for napping anymore. You've paid to nap. Now, Nafkatsa has noticed that Hosana is breathing quite quickly and is asking, does he always do that when he's at rest? Now, no, Nafkatsa, he doesn't. He's got a full tummy, so it's the digestion that's causing him to breathe so heavily and so fast while he's digesting whatever poor, unsuspecting antelope that has found its way into his tummy. And you can see as it gets cooler, he's going to be breathing less quickly. He's catnapping properly at the moment. Now, we do have some schools joining us now, so we're going to send you across to Steve on Bushwalk so you can welcome our schools. Well, can you believe that as a leopard, that white little flash is the end of the leopard's tail? So a big welcome to all our kids today. It's very exciting to have you on your very own live school drive. My name is Brent. I have my friend David on camera, and we've got one of my favorite leopards behind me, and his name is Hosana, except he's not being very cooperative at the moment and lying in the thick grass. So I'm going to move the car a little bit to see if we can get a better view of him. Oh, he's just flopped down in the grass to try and get away from some of the biting flies. We'll see if we can see him now. Can't you see him? He's right there. Today I have seen lions, leopards, giraffe, impala. Well, I need to count them, don't I, Shamea? Lion, leopard, giraffe, impala, inyala, wildebeest, tiger, steenbok, squirrel, dwarf, mongoose, bushbuck. I saw a bushbuck this morning. And lots of different birds as well. But we have a very lazy leopard at the moment. But as it gets cooler and it gets a bit darker, I'm hoping he's going to get up and start moving. Now, Manraj, if I could train the animals, he wouldn't be lying where you can't see him nicely, now would he? He'd be doing something nice for you out in the open. Now, even though we are quite close to them, we train them to be used to the cars, but this leopard is completely wild. We're in an 8 million acre unfenced ecosystem, so we don't train them at all. So it's bushveld for as far as the eye can see. Ollie would like to know, what is the life cycle of a leopard? Well, Ollie, a female leopard, will give birth to normally 2 cubs, and they'll stay with their mom till they're about 18 months old, and then she'll chase them away. If it's a female leopard, she will give a piece of her territory away to the little female, so she has an easier start in life. A male leopard, like this young gentleman lying in the grass next to us, he's just over 2 years old, will hang around in the area he was born and by himself till he is chased away by another big male leopard, and then he will normally wander for normally 3 to 4 years before he's big enough and strong enough to fight another male leopard to take over his territory, and then he will stay there and he'll mate with all the females to make lots of baby leopards till he gets old, and then another young male will come fight him and take it away from him. Whereas the females will stay normally in their territory for the majority of their life. They might encompass or move or take over bits of territory, but they normally stay not too far away from where they're born. Not always, but most of the time. where those young males can move hundreds of kilometers away from where they were born. Now, Callie is wondering, what are the leopard's ears made out of? Well, they're made out of cartilage, just like your ears, Callie. So they are made out of meat, a little bit of meat, and some cartilage and skin and veins, just like most other mammals' ears. And you can see he's trying to bite the flies that are biting his ears. Maybe the biting flies will cause him to get up and move so we can have a good look at him. Oh, let's wait. He's popped his head up for a second. There we go. You can see his beautiful face. And as he puts it down in the grass again, let's send you across to one of the biggest water holes in our area. As it's got cooler, isn't he just a gorgeous, gorgeous creature? Looks like you might have heard us. I'm looking behind us. I can't see anything. But his hearing is much better than mine. Maybe he heard some dinner. Now, there's no shops out here for the leopard. He's got to go catch everything himself. No. What has he seen? Maybe a hyena? Hyenas. Oh, a whole mass of hyenas coming in here. Look at that. He's going to try to keep away from them. The hyenas like to steal food from leopards, and they will chase him. So I've got to concentrate on driving now, otherwise we'll lose him. Look at that. A whole group of hyenas. Oh, he's climbed up onto a branch. Let me just see where he is now. It's some thick bush here. You might go higher up where the hyenas can't get to him. See him there, Dave? Clever boy. Munraj, hyenas will hunt as a clan or as a group or by themselves. It just depends on what they're hunting. If they're hunting something small, they'll hunt by themselves. If they're hunting something big like a hippo, they'll hunt in big groups. Where are you off to now, little Hosana? Those horrible hyenas made you jump up from your slumber. Now, the hyenas probably thought he might have some food nearby, and they might want to try steal it, but he doesn't have any food nearby. And look at the hyenas sniffing around, trying to see if they're close by. Okay, I need to try to find a way through this thick bush now. Javier, hyenas are not cats nor dogs, they're hyenas. But they're probably more closely related to mongoose and bears than either cats or dogs. They're their own family. So the hyenas are moving away. They've realized the leopard didn't have any food there. Now, hopefully we haven't lost him. This is quite a thick area here. Oh, there's a big tree. Oh dear, this is a very thick area. And you see him, Dave? I think maybe we can sneak through that gap. No, Bummy, leopards. Oh, it's that same thing. Don't live in groups. They are solitary. No, we're not getting over that one. We don't want to lose him, so I'm just going to try to find a way through the bush. Okay, hold on. Bumpity through here. Lots of dry sticks and branches that the elephants have pushed over. So there's the branch he was on, and he came down. We're going to keep our eyes peeled. Okay, I'm going to try to find the leopard for you again while I concentrate on trying to find him in this thick bush. Let's go see what Steve's up to on bushwalk. A concerned no impala at the moment. He's gone back to catnapping after his nap was interrupted by the hyenas. So he's just going to snooze. The temperature is dropping quite quickly, which is always good for him. He prefers it when it's cool. And that's when he does most of his hunting. Now, as Dave was saying, he likes impalas. It's one of his favourite foods. You can hear a bit of shuffling. I'm just putting my jersey on because it's getting cold. Christian, leopards are what we would call stalk and ambush predators. So what they do is they use that incredible camouflage. You saw how he disappeared into the grass a bit earlier to sneak close and closer and closer to an antelope. And then when that antelope, when he's about 5 meters away, then he coils his body like a spring and tightens all his muscles and punches them, and then just leaps at incredible speed. And then he'll jump on the antelope and then grab its throat normally. And why they grab the throat is they suffocate the animals there. That's how they kill them. They've got a special gap in between their teeth that pinches the windpipe of the animal's closed. And the main reason they do that is because if that animal that they're catching makes a distress sound, or it's sort of something like wah, wah, it will make all the hyenas and lions come running. So they try to grab that throat and suffocate it quickly so they don't lose whatever they catch to hyenas or lions. And then leopards are the only big cat in Africa who will then take their food up a tree, and they'll put it high up a tree so the lions and hyenas can't steal it from them, and they can eat it over a few days at their leisure. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. We are going to switch on a very special light because it's getting dark. It's called our IR light, or infrared light, which enables the sensors in the camera to see in the dark. Now, if you were a leopard, this is what your eyesight would be looking like. So that's how leopards and lions normally see. They don't see all the colors that we do. And this way, we're able to follow the animals after dark without interfering in their hunting. Oh, the hyenas are calling. I'm just going to keep quiet so you can listen. Can you hear that? Ooh. He's also listening. I'm pretty sure it's the same hyenas we just saw. Listen to that, it's so beautiful. Outside, hyenas communicate by whooping and cackling. They also leave scent communications, so they will leave a paste on a grass stalk that is from their bottom, and that is also a form of communication. So if any other hyena smells it, they know that it's this hyena's territory or this clan's territory. But they also visually by baring teeth and showing submission to each other. So hyenas have lots of different types of communication. Leopards as well, as you're saying. So leopards also can call. They will make a rasping roar. Sounds almost like someone sawing wood with a big saw. So is what a leopard call sounds like. And they also use smell communication and visual communication with their faces by snarling or or showing submissive behavior, but also by scent marking, by spraying urine on different bushes and trees. So that will tell the other leopards who's been here, what's it been up to. It's sort of like a leopard signpost, a leopard chat board when they urinate on trees and bushes. Now, Ali the leopard is sleeping on the hyenas in here because he knows he's much faster than them, and he can run faster than them, and he can climb up a tree to get away from them. A leopard is capable of doing about 70 kilometers an hour, just over actually 70 kilometers an hour. No, I lie completely, about 90 kilometers an hour for very short distances, which works out at about 24 meters per second. And Ivan was wondering that. Okay, I'm going to sit here to see what this little leopard gets up to next. In the meantime, let's go see if David's managed to find anything else. Entertaining us with how well he can sleep. Now, leopards can sleep for about 18 hours a day if they've got a full tummy. And he's got half a full tummy, I would say. He's not overly fat, and I'm really hoping he gets up and starts moving shortly. But he's made himself more comfortable at the moment, curled himself into, well, using his foot as a pillow. Hey, little man. He is a very beautiful cat. Aha, Hosana Leopard omnivores. They are most definitely carnivores. Oh, he seemed to like me saying he was a carnivore, and licked his lips and lifted his head. Is he going to head out to try find himself some fresh red meat for dinner? No, I think he's going to go back to sleep. Now, Rim, I have actually seen leopards fight each other on a few occasions. I just heard something in the grass. No, it was a bird, I think. I think it was just a bird getting settled for the night. So, Rim, yes, I have seen leopards fight each other, and they make incredibly loud noise. Sort of, and it's very, very violent. Now, male leopards have thicker skin around their neck to protect themselves when they fight, because male leopards tend to fight a little bit more than females. Isn't that amazing? So when we turn on the light, we can see him. Yes, Helena, leopards are warm-blooded. They are mammals like us. So, yes, they are warm-blooded. So, with the antelope you've seen, I'm not sure, and the hippo you might have seen, all of those are warm-blooded animals. Oof, mosquitoes are biting my toes tonight. Carmen, yes, baby leopards are born with fur, but the fur is a little bit darker, and it's a bit darker so they can hide from potential predators easily, because mom will give birth to them in a den, normally a hole in a riverbank or in a termite mound, and she has to leave them when she goes out to hunt so she can produce milk for them. So their fur is a bit darker, so they are a bit better camouflaged, even better camouflaged than they are now, which they are insanely well camouflaged already. Oh, tired kitty. So even though he's lying down and snoozing, watch his ears, how they're moving. They're listening to every little sound out there in the African bush. That's how he knew those hyenas were coming and was far faster than them. Leopards have very good hearing. Now I'm going to sit with our little leopard chief. Hopefully he does decide to get moving. In the meantime, it seems like David's going to answer questions about the spotted hyena. Well, he's still dozing. Oh, he's giving himself a little bit of a clean. That's how leopards bath, just at home. They like to lick themselves clean. Are you going to get up and move now, big boy? Or are you going to just roll over again? Oof, very tough question from Joban. What is the hearing range of a leopard? I would say they can probably hear other leopards calling from up to 10 kilometers away, but when it comes to little sounds like steps in the grass, it's very difficult for me to say exactly, but I'd say they've probably got hearing 2 to 3 times better than ours. Oh, it's getting chilly, but he's still going to continue napping. Oh, Abby would like to know, what training do we need for our job? Well, lots of time in the bush is always a good one, Abby. I was very lucky. I've been doing this since I was very small. I've grown up in the African bushveld. But normally you can go to a guiding school and you will train there for 3 to 6 months. But to get to sort of the top of your game, the more time you spend in nature, the better. And that's how you really get on. Okay, and I'm sure you're tired of looking at me, so for the last minute we're going to look at the lovely little Hosana who's napping away. Hopefully he'll be around in the morning for those of you joining us on the sunrise safari. And it's been wonderful to share all these animals with you. It's been an absolute privilege. So thank you to Hosana Male Seneca School in Canada and Alderwood School in Washington for joining us on this amazing adventure. And hopefully you will join us for some more school drives so we can show you all the animals we haven't seen yet. So from all of us at Safari Live and this beautiful leopard, good night.